come down onto your back and underneath, so just underneath your shoulder blades, so right about where a bra strap would be, or just underneath the shoulder blades here, we're going to have a roll. So it could be a big roll, so it could be something like another yoga mat, or it could be, so mine is a very thin roll, so I'm not going to get a huge lift in the chest, but it can be whatever size roll that you like, and it's going to go across the mat. And then you're possibly going to need a cushion for underneath your head, or you might not need a cushion underneath your head at all. And then again, you'll need cushions for either under your knees or underneath the sides of your legs. So we're going to roll down onto the roll is just under the shoulder blades. So the head is on the floor. We settle down, the knees bend, and either you can take the knees out to the sides then, so the knees can come out to the sides, the arms come out to the sides. And as I say, if you need something small under your head, you probably won't need too much under your head unless this roll is really, really big, in which case you're welcome to have anything you like underneath your head. But otherwise, just settling down into this reclining position. The soles of your feet come together. The knees are wide apart. They're settling on cushions if you can. So if not, you can have the cushions underneath the backs of your knees. So you can have the knees supported and the legs just wide. What we're really looking for is to have a nice sense of expansion through the chest. So relaxing the chest, the neck, the shoulders, the jaw, all of that, really softening, relaxing the belly, the hips, everything relaxing here in the torso, and also the lengths of the legs. So really nice and relaxed, really soft, absolutely no tension whatsoever. I'm just going to change my roll because it's so thin. I'm not really feeling much of anything. So I'm going to change it to be a little bit more, a little bit of a deeper or tighter or thicker roll. So I'm going to roll it up this way. Might just give me a bit better roll. Don't know if that's going to be much different. My cat is on the other blanket, so okay, that's a little bit better. So you basically just want, you could have nothing underneath or anywhere near your legs, and your legs could just be straight out. As I say, you need to be able to completely relax your shoulders onto the floor, your head and your neck and your jaw, all really, really relaxed. Soften your throat, and again, really softening your belly here, allowing yourself to settle down into your the roll underneath your shoulder blades. Nice, and really what that does is, instead of having that super rounded thoracic spine, it's just helping it to release into a straighter line, into a longer position. So just allowing it to be really relaxed. Hips are heavy, length of each of your legs is heavy. Really relaxing your face now. And making sure that you could maybe even take the nose from side to side to check that the neck feels even. So it's equally lengthening, the shoulders are relaxed. Take deep breaths. So just 3 times now, we're going to take a deep breath in through the nose and take an exhale sharply through the mouth. So deep inhale through the nose and exhaling. Really let that ha connect to the belly and soften all tension in the belly. So 2 more breaths just like that. Inhale, exhale, and last time. Inhale and exhale. Totally soft, totally relaxed. Really softening onto your prop. Legs are straight, knees are bent, changing as you need, and just settling into whatever position feels like it's most appropriate for you. Begin just to notice your breath. So more than anything else now, your physical body is relaxed, I hope, at this stage. So you're beginning just to really notice then how your breath is. So with a relaxed physical body, we can start to settle down into a nice rhythm with the breath. So the breath comes in through the nose and out through the nose now, if that's possible, but obviously if it isn't, don't worry about it. For the next 5 or 6 rounds of breath, we're going to imagine, so we're not going to use the hands to close off a nostril or anything like that. We're just going to imagine that we were breathing in through the left nostril. So I'm going to guide you through it. So you can just let your mind go there. Everything else stays really nice and relaxed. So your next inhale, you're going to inhale through your left nostril. So just imagine the breath going in through your left nostril and out through your right. Then in through your right nostril and out through your left. In through your left nostril and out through your right nostril. Letting the breath slow down as you go, just settling in through your right nostril and out through your left nostril. In through your left nostril and out through your right nostril. In through your right nostril and out through your left nostril. And then in through both nostrils and out through both nostrils. And then just a few more times, being really aware of the sensation of drawing the breath in evenly through both nostrils and exhaling evenly through both nostrils. Smoothly in through both nostrils and out through both nostrils. Okay, so we'll leave the breath alone. So just allowing your mind to travel for the last few moments of our relaxation here, just to your mind. So let yourself be fully aware of how your mind feels today. So emotionally, mentally, you feeling tired or energetic, just noticing how you feel today, and just being aware of it, not to try and change it or decide anything about it, just to be fully aware of how you feel today in your mind. And we'll carry all of that with us now as we start to move. So the first thing we need to do is come off the roll that is underneath the shoulders. So the easiest way is just to roll onto your side, to push yourself up into your hands and just to take the roll out. And you might use it a little bit later. Then we're going to sit and take the cushions out of the way, and then we're going to turn and roll all the way back down the way you came. And the feet are flat on the floor and the knees are bent. And the spine is nice and long. You're still very welcome to have something under your head if you like. We're going to allow the knees to drop to the left and to the right. And again, if they go all the way to the floor, you'll be in a twist. So you might not like to take the knees all the way to the floor. So you're going to really try and keep your pelvis on the floor and only move the knees from side to side. So the pelvis, one side of the pelvis doesn't lift when the knees go to the opposite side. If you're not worried about twisting the spine, you're welcome to do both. So you're welcome to do a few rounds with the pelvis literally twisting, and also, because it's a very different thing, to move just the knees from side to side without the pelvis shifting. And so you can really feel for those two separate things. Then bring the feet so that they're flat on the floor and the back of both hips is flat on the floor. We're going to pull in the left knee. So the left knee just comes in, and you can pull it in as close to you as feels comfortable for the front of that hip. And as you do pull it in, circle the left ankle a few times. So you're just circling through that left ankle, pointing the toes really far away from you and flexing the foot so you're pushing the heel away from you and the toes back to your face. So a few times with, again, as much effort as you want. You don't want to set up any crampiness in your calf, but you do want to sort of find those muscles. And then we're going to cross the left ankle on top of the right knee and allow the left knee just to press gently away. We're not pushing it with the hand, just allow it to press away. And then again, take that little side to side rocking. And again, you could come all the way to the floor so you're in a deep twist, or you could just come a little bit to the right and a little bit to the left so your pelvis is staying fairly still. It will rock a little bit no matter what you do. Okay, again, you can stay here, especially if you already now feel in the outside of your left hip a big stretch, then you're going to stay there. Otherwise, we're going to pick up the right foot and even hold on to the right thigh. So right hand on the outside, left hand on the inside of the right thigh. And you can draw that right thigh close to your face. When the right foot is off the floor now, you could circle the right ankle if the right foot is off the floor. If it's on the floor, just holding it, breathing into that sensation. We're looking to maybe feel that there's a little bit of sensation. If when you've pulled it in this amount, you don't feel any sensation, maybe your hips are not tight at all like mine are, you could fold in your shin and even thread the hands through in front of the shin but you don't need to chase sensation as well. So you don't need sensation, just notice whether it's there or not. That's really all we're trying to do. Put your right foot back down onto the floor when you're ready. Put your left foot back down beside it. Take both of your arms by your sides. And when you're ready, inhale, lift your hips straight up. So you're not rolling through the spine. We're lifting the hips straight up towards the ceiling, pressing the fronts of the hips up, squeezing the buttock muscles a little bit, and pressing the feet down, just as much activity there as you feel like. And then slowly lower down. The tailbone comes down first. The back of the waist is still off the floor. We're going to come up and down 2 more times. So we're pushing into both feet to lift both hips. And do that as you inhale. Exhale to hold it there. Inhale to take an inhale, and then exhale to take the tailbone down onto the floor. So you're just moving at the hip joints, not at the spine here. Last time, we're going to inhale to lift the hips, hold it there as you exhale, hold it there as you inhale again, and then the tailbone comes down. So refolding at the hip joint. Pick up the right knee. So the right knee comes off the floor, and we're going to hug it in with the 2 hands. I'm going to circle the right ankle. So circling, pointing, flexing, spreading the toes out, and then really get a good point on the foot. So really pointing the toes away from you, really press your heel away from you, and then see about crossing the right ankle over the left knee. And again, just settle there. This hip might be a different story. Maybe you've we all pick up through our lives injuries and just habits with hips. So just notice that might be enough of a stretch on this side. If it isn't and you want to come a little bit further, we're picking up that left knee, which pushes the right leg into a deeper flexion and a deeper stretch in the outer, in the outside of the hip, but deep. If you want to, you thread your hands through either side of the left thigh and draw it back in. And if you need a bigger stretch, and I don't really, but I'm just showing you, you interlace your hands in front of the shin instead. So you're curling into a right little ball, but your right knee is still pulling away from you and your tailbone is still right down onto the floor. So if you've come into this position and it's made you pull your tailbone off the floor, back off until you can get your tailbone back down onto the floor. That's where I need to be, right behind the thigh rather than in front of the shin. Okay, when you're ready, put the left foot back down onto the floor, put the right foot back down beside it, and we're going to come up again. This time we're going to use the arms. So we're going to come into bridge pose. As we lift the hips now, and again, we're lifting from the hip joints straight through the spine, we're going to lift the arms up and reach them back behind. We're going to hold it there as you exhale, hold it there as you inhale, And then exhale, slowly take the hips down onto the floor. So the tailbone meets the floor. The low back, the back of the waist is still off the floor here. Okay, so we're going to do that 2 more times. So we're going to inhale, lift the hips, lift the arms, reach the knees forwards, the belly drops down, the buttock muscles squeeze, inhale, and then exhale, slowly dropping down. The tailbone comes down first, and then the hands come to the floor. 1 more time, we squeeze the feet down. So push the feet down, lift the hips up, reach the fingertips back behind you. Inhale here to hold the hands there. Exhale to hold everything there. And then exhale, take the hands and the hips all the way back down. Take a little windscreen wiper of the knees from side to side, and then see about pulling both knees in. And again, you might have your hands behind the thighs, because again, you want to keep that tailbone on the floor. You don't want to pull in so far that the tailbone scoops away from the floor, not now. So you're just hugging the sit bones, or you're just hugging the thighs back towards your chest. If you can keep the tailbone on the floor and bring your hands in front of your shins, you can pull the whole legs in towards your chest. So again, just going on what feels good for you here. Okay, so reach the feet back down onto the floor here, and then straighten both your legs. So one at a time, straighten both your legs. Reach your arms away from you. So the arms are reaching back behind you. The heels are reaching forward. So you get a nice stretch and opening in the backs of the legs. When you're ready, we're going to lift. The head is staying comfortably on the floor. The throat and the jaw is relaxed. We're going to lift the right leg and the left arm. Just hover them a little bit away from the floor. Point the right toes and really reach the left hand back. So what's happening here in the body, or in the torso, is that the core muscles are supporting this, this lift. So the left arm lifts, the right arm lifts. Now, if you want to, you can pull the knee back towards the hand and the hand forward towards the knee, and then stretch them all the way out. Otherwise, you can just keep them hovering, take them all the way down. Same thing, lift them and hover them, keep your back ribs on the floor, and then pull the knee back to the hand forward to the knee, and then re-extend all the way out, all the way coming from your core, your center. Pull in 1 more time, the knee to the hand to the knee, and hold. If you want to, you can cross, so the left hand to the outside of the right knee, and draw it across to the left side a little bit, just to stretch again into the outside of that right hip. And then reach the arm and leg slowly, slowly. As you put the leg down slowly and the arm down slowly, the core kicks in. So lifting the right arm now and the left leg just off the floor. Relax the neck, breathe here, inhale. And hold, exhale. Just holding them there with your core. And again, it seems like a very small little thing, but it's a effort. Even if you don't feel like it's an effort, the muscles are working. When you're ready, if you want to, the knee and the hand touch just anywhere. They don't have to come too far towards each other to touch. And then stretching all the way out. Really slow the leg down as it goes out. We're going to pull in again. So the hand into the knee into the hand, and then slowly, slowly coordinating the arm and leg movement. Our very last time, so the arm and leg float, and then from the core, no change in the spine, the knee and hand come together. If you want to, you can take just that little draw of the knee back towards your right shoulder. So it's a little bit of a diagonal stretch through the outside of the left hip, and then reach, slowly put that left foot down from the belly. Okay, and then we're going to roll over onto our side and come up into the hands, and come, when you're ready, into all fours. Actually, sorry, we're going to come to sitting first. So there's a couple of options for sitting. You can sit in a chair. There's always the option to sit in a chair. You can sit kneeling. You could sit kneeling, so you could sit kneeling and you could put a cushion underneath your sit bones, or between your sit bones and your heels, and that can sometimes be a very comfortable seat. We're just going to work on the shoulders, so we do want the spine to be quite upright, so that's quite important here. So as much as you can, the spine is going to be nice and upright. Okay, and then when you're ready, or of course you can sit in a cross-legged position, so you're very welcome to take a cross-legged position. Okay, so either way, so if you're kneeling, have your knees a little bit apart because we're going to use the hands on the knees a little bit. If you're sitting in cross-legged, sit up on blocks, sit on cushions, you could sit on a low couch, you could sit all the way up on a chair, absolutely no problem. We want to just take the hands onto the knees now and take a little, just a little lift of the chest. So we're hands on the knees, and almost with the hands, we're pulling the chest through forward and up towards the chin. We're drawing the throat back. Don't lift your chin here. So keep your chin low. So you end up making a big double chin. So we're just drawing the chin back. We're lifting the chest. And here we come into, this is coming into a little bit of spinal extension. When you manage to connect to sound, I'll send you the class as well, because you've probably missed a lot of it. And if you get a chance, you can do it later as well. So I'll send you the recording too. So inhale, lift the chest, and then exhale. So again, D, you're going to stay out of rounding. You're just going to stay neutral. And for everybody else, so Gwen and anyone else doing this later, you can round the spine. You could sit backwards and find flexion. And again, only if it feels good, and it mightn't for you. So come one more time into that back extension. So you're just using your hands on your knees or on the arms of a chair. You could be standing, no problem at all, but just lift your chest, but don't lift your chin. So you're bringing the chest up to the chin, and you're making a double chin because you're drawing the throat back and you're drawing your shoulders back, and your chin is staying low. So you end up making a nice double chin for yourself. Come back to neutral. So just release that extension and either come into a rounded back position or don't. So either stay neutral or round back, and then come back to center. Okay, so we're going to find a little overhead stretch. So kneeling or sitting or cross-legged, whatever you are, bring your right fingertips onto the floor beside your right hip, and then sweep your left arm up towards the ceiling. So really lengthen this left side first. Then start to lean over to the right side. So if you're all the way down on the floor, your hand will be on the floor. If you're up on blocks, you might be up on fingertips, or you could have your hand on blocks. We're going to take a side stretch and hold it for a few breaths. So try and get both shoulders to relax so the neck can be really nice and relaxed. We're just taking any amount of side bend here, and we're breathing into the left ribs. If you don't need that hand on the floor, you could cross your right hand across to your left ribs. Now bring the palm of the hand to behind your head if that's comfortable. If it pushes your head forwards and makes you round, you could bring your fingertips onto that same shoulder. But if you can bring it behind your head, it'll help to open into this left armpit. And we're just taking that side stretch. So it's a little bit of effort, especially if we're holding it like we have been for a few breaths. And then inhale, come all the way back upright. So we'll stretch to the other side. So the left hand comes down, the right arm goes straight up first. So just make space in your right side first. Then see about taking a stretch over to the left side. And again, keeping the sides long if you can. You could cross that left hand over onto the right ribs, and or you can take the right hand behind the head. If the head is pushing forward, make sure you push the head back into the hand so that you continue to open into the armpit, into this side of your chest, and just taking a breath there. Okay, one more time to the other side. So the right hand comes down, the left hand comes up, bend the elbow either onto the shoulder or behind the head. This time we're just going to turn towards the right. So it's a very, very gentle turning. It's not even a twist. And we're going to turn back open. And one more time, we're just turning right a little bit, only as far as feels good, and come to the left. Reach that left arm up, and we'll come one time to the other side. So stretching to the left. So stretching to the left, hand behind the head, hand onto the shoulder, either way. We're just going to turn towards the left and open back out. So a very gentle, so really a turning rather than a twisting. There's no force on the spine here, so this should be okay for you to do D. And again, 1 or 2 times, and then push all the way back up. Take your hands onto your knees and take one more chest lift. Reach your nose from side to side. So just really, you're not even taking a back bend, you're just lifting that center portion of your chest up. So we started the class with roll underneath the back ribs. And it's the same thing. So we're just finding that same action. Okay, so from here, we're going to take our forward fold. If your legs are crossed, you might consider just recrossing them the other way. And again, if you're sitting in a chair, you're just going to lean forward. We want to lean forward with a straight spine. So we're not rounding the spine to come forward. We're keeping the spine straight, and we're literally just leaning out of the hips. So if your legs are crossed, you might have your elbows on your knees or your fingertips on the floor. If you're in a chair, you might have your hands on the chair. All of these things are possible. We're just leaning out of the hips and then breathing. So soften your face. Take a couple of breaths, inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the nose. And last breath here, inhaling, just allowing that back to be like a nice ski slope. And exhaling, inhale to come all the way back up. And this time now we are going to come over onto all fours. So we're going to come over onto all fours. Just take the cushion out of the way for the moment. And we're going to make our way into a little bit of a spinal balance. So, and then we'll come up to some standing poses. So we won't be spending all our time on the floor. So the hands are underneath the shoulders. And again, if you want to, before you come onto all fours, you're welcome to come onto all fours and set up your cat-cow already. If you'd like to stretch out your wrists first, reach your arms out, so that we've been doing the last few weeks, pointing the fingertips actively down, stretching into the back of the arm, stretching into the back of the hand, the back of the wrist, and you can use your other hand to help you stretch into it. Just find a position that's a little bit reactive and hold it. So don't just go straight out. That doesn't really help. That just kind of almost irritates your nervous system. Just finding a position that gives you a little bit of, you know, pause for thought, not discomfort even, and hold it for a breath. And then the same thing on the other side. So find somewhere that's tight and release it, but you need to give it a breath or two rather than rushing in and rushing out. Same thing with the palms turning down. So again, reach your arms, palms facing up, and then as much as you can, squeeze to pull your nails, your fingernails back towards your chest without bending the elbows. It's actually quite strong. You can use your opposite hand to help. You know, you can do all of these actually on the floor. It's just that the floor is less forgiving than the air, so it will be a stronger stretch. So all of these can be done with the hands actually on the floor already in all fours, or they can be done before you come onto all fours. So always, when you're ready, do come to all fours. If you've completed all your wrist flossing and stretching, the knees are directly under the hips and the hands are directly under the shoulders. We're going to stretch the right leg away. So the right leg is away. We don't want to lift the right hip. So that right hip stays at the same level as the left hip. The two arms are nice and strong. The neck is in line with the rest of the body. So don't lift your head necessarily there. Just lift your right leg up to hip height. And then pulse up into that movement a couple of times. Try not to swing your left hip to the left. So try to keep really centered over your two wrists. Make sure there's weight in the left wrist as well as the right wrist. Pressing into both hands nice and actively. Just using the back of the leg, so the buttock muscles and the hamstrings, to lift that leg up as high as you can, and then lower it slowly until the knee is under the hip. Stretch the left leg away and again lift, and then just find that lift. Find the lift in the belly that keeps the spine straight. Try not to lift the head, so the head is in line with the spine and you're just looking down between your thumbs. Keep weight in the right arm as much as in the left arm, and the whole of the right shin is actively pressing down. Just pulse up into that a couple of times and then take the knee down. And you could stretch back into a fully folded over child's pose, or you could be in this sort of half child's pose, half kneeling. And again, if you don't like pressure on the knees like that, you could just come to sitting, or you could come into any position that feels better. We're going to come back to all fours for a final thing before we move. So we're going to take a side plank here, a kneeling side plank. So from here, we're going to stretch the left leg away. So the left leg is straight, but the toes are going to stay on the floor. We're going to turn the right toes out to the right side. So just pivot on your knee. We're not moving the knee anywhere. Look at your knee and make sure your right wrist is in the same line as your knee. So you can press into that right wrist. Come over onto the shin, so the right shin, right wrist. The left foot is just in line with both of it, and we're turning the belly and chest away from the floor. The spine is still completely neutral and straight, and we're lifting that left arm straight up towards the ceiling. You can imagine this band all the way around your waist, cinching in as you exhale. Keep pushing your right hand down into the floor. So you're strengthening your right shoulder blade right onto the back ribs, and pushing your right hand forward will really help to get the shoulder blade in the right position. Keep the neck nice and relaxed, and then slowly take it back down to all fours. So staying with your breath here, we're going to take it to the other side. So the left hand, left knee, left toes turn out to the left side. The right leg is straight. And then just check that all those things are in a straight line. The left wrist, the left knee, the right foot, the left toes are kicked out to the left side. We turn the belly and chest away from the floor. So from the tailbone to the top of the head is all in one straight line. And then the right arm lifts up. So there's lots of work for this left shoulder. You're pushing this left hand forward. And the more you push it forward, but don't move your body anywhere, the more you're strengthening that left shoulder joint. The right arm lifts straight up towards the ceiling. You might even feel a nice stretch on the outer right hip here. And again, as you exhale, that band around the waist cinches in, inhaling to expand your chest, and exhale, cinching in around the waist. Okay, we'll come back to all fours for a final time, and we're going to take downward dog here. So both our hands are underneath both of your shoulders. They're both going to push forward here. And again, both shoulder blades then are going to get nice and strong on the back ribs. We're tucking the toes under. So both sets of toes tucked under from bent knee position. And then keep your knees bent as you push the hips back and press the hands forwards. So you're straightening out the spine. You do not want to round the spine here. You want a nice straight spine, which means that we keep the knees deeply bent and send the sit bones, the base of your pelvis, up and back away from the heels of your hands, which are in the same line as your torso. And again, if you want to, you can stretch one heel down and then lift it, and then the other heel down and lift it. The knees are staying bent. Well, at least one knee is staying deeply bent the whole time, so you're not tempted to round out the back. When you're ready, we're going to come to standing. So you can either walk your hands back to your feet or your feet forward to your hands, whatever feels most appropriate. Push into the feet now. Squeeze the buttock muscles and press into your tops of your knees to hinge at the hips. Back is nice and flat, and then just stand straight. So you're standing all the way upright. Oh, I need to change my camera. Okay. So from here, we're just going to take ourselves into a little sun salutation, and then we're going to come into a couple of standing poses. Then we'll come back towards the ground then. So when you're ready, from the front of your mat, standing with your feet just about the width of your hips. So your heels are underneath your hip joints, and your hip joints being right in here rather than out here. So not too wide with the feet. So you want them under the joints. And we're going to just take the arms a couple of times. So we're going to inhale and sweep the arms up alongside the ears, really reach up with the fingertips. Exhale, sweep the hands back down. Okay, we're going to do that a few more times. I'm going to add on a few bits, but this is the basic move. We're going to sweep the arms up as you inhale. Try and match the movement and the breath. And as you exhale, sweep the hands back down. So when you have that, this time as we sweep up, you might like to lift onto your tippy toes. Don't worry about wobbling. Wobbling is actually what we're looking for here. The wobbling is what strengthens the muscles. Exhale, and as you bring the hands down, the heels come down. So stay with that add-on a few more times, trying to coordinate the movement, so the lifting up off the heels and the fingertips getting to the top of the move, and then exhaling, lowering the hands all the way down, and the heels come all the way down. So try and match that to your breath. Inhale, the arms up, the heels up. Exhale, the hands and the heels come down. Keep your shoulders soft at the back of your neck. So that's not where we want to work. We want to work movement into the shoulder joint and breath, not the base of the neck where the muscles can sometimes tense when we're concentrating. We do need to concentrate. Any amount of wobbling is fine. So if you're not wobbling, close your eyes. We want wobbling. We definitely need wobbling. Wobbling is actually what we call micro-correcting, which is much better, much more dignified than wobbling. So those micro-corrections are what strengthen all of the tiny little muscles and the connective tissue around your ankles and feet. Okay, so the next time you lift up, the hands stay up onto the tippy toes if you can. Take the hands down, stay on the tippy toes, and then bend the knees a little bit and straighten the legs. Now you can bend the knees and straighten the legs with the heels on the floor either. So if you're feeling a bit wobbly, you could also bend the knees and straighten the legs with the heels off the floor and the hand on the back of a chair or the hand on the wall. But really getting into the calf muscles now and also the quads. So because the heels are off the floor, we've better movement ability in the hips. So again, a couple more times. Okay, bring your heels down whenever you're ready. And now we are going to come into our sun salutation. So inhale the arms up. Exhale now. We're going to fold out the pelvis. I want my back to stay flat. So I bend my knees to take my hands onto the front of my knees. I'm going to keep my back nice and flat, and I'm going to fold only as far as the back stays flat. When I feel like I have to round either the low back or the back of the chest, then I stop coming down. So I stop folding. So you're only folding. Your hands are right on your knees. Your knees are deeply bent to support your hands. You're only folding as far as you can fold with a flat back. And then I'm going to inhale, come all the way back up, lift the arms, and exhale, take the hands down. So we'll add that move on. Inhale the arms up, exhale, bend the knees, bring the hands onto the knees and fold at the hips any amount. Push to come all the way up, lift your arms, and exhale, take the hands back down. One more time like that. Inhale the arms up. And exhale, come down, bend the knees, fold with a flat back. Inhale to push all the way up with a flat back, the arms come up. Exhale, take the hands down. This time we're coming all the way into plank pose. So inhale the arms up. Exhale, bend the knees and fold down as much as you can here. So bend the knees to fold rather than rounding your back, especially you D. You're going to keep your spine nice and flat. Now you can come into plank pose. You can come into hands and knees any way that you like. If by really bending down you can reach the floor, press into the hands and step your feet back to plank one at a time. If you need to come down any other way, that's absolutely fine. Come into hands and knees and then see about stepping back into plank pose. Your hands are pushing down and forward, and at any stage you can bring your knees down underneath your hips. There's no problem. If you can, and if it feels good to stay in plank for another few breaths, go ahead and stay in plank. Press into the whole underside of your arm, of your hands, whether you've got your knees down or your knees up off the floor. And then everybody do bring your knees down, and we're going to lower back to the heel. So just reach your flat spine backwards. And then we're going to come all the way forward, squeeze the upper arms to let ourselves come down gently to the floor. Hands are underneath the shoulders now. And we're just reaching the top of the head forward. So the spine here again is nice and neutral. We're just going to find with the breath. So the neck isn't involved. The neck is just on for the ride, coming along for the ride, we're going to take the chest away from the floor as you inhale and lower the chest to the floor as you exhale. So make it a really slow movement so that there's not a huge amount of movement. There's no big distance that the chest is traveling. So we have to make the breath nice and smooth and slow, and we have to make the movement even slower so that it matches completely with the breath as much as possible. So we inhale and start to lift the spine. You're pressing the hands, and that's just going to keep the weight of the shoulders out of this, but you're not pushing yourself up with your hands. That's a different thing altogether. So we're lowering, the hands are pressing to keep the shoulders again just away from the floor, and we're lifting. The breath is that we lower on the exhale and inhale to lift. Really imagine that inside your chest, your two lungs were like a balloon or balloons that are blowing up to get lighter, and they're blowing up with really strong helium. So they're getting so lifting. They feel like they're lifting so much that the whole chest lifts away from the floor. The arms are working quite strongly here. They're keeping the weight of the shoulders out of this. Okay, when you're ready, we're going to tuck the toes under. I'm going to press back to all fours. From all fours, we're going to get those toes really tucked under again. You could walk your hands a little bit forwards, press down into the underside of the hands, and come up into a downward dog again with the knees really bent. So the more the knees are bent, the less you'll be likely to round the spine. And we really don't, rounding the spine for everyone here isn't a great idea. Nothing bad will happen. It's just not going to lengthen or give a nice stretch or give a nice feeling of rest to the spine. And that essentially is actually what we're looking for. We're looking for a restful position for the spine as well as a gentle stretch. Okay, and then when you're ready, look at the space between the hands. Either bring your feet there or bring your hands back to your feet. Bend your knees so you can bring your hands up onto your knees so that you can come up with a flat back by pushing down into the feet and squeezing the buttock muscles. With your inhale, lift the hands up, and with your exhale, take the hands down. Very nice, everybody. Really good. Okay, so the feet are together. We're going to separate them until there is about an inch or two between the feet. Then we're going to keep the chest facing forward and just take a little step back with the left foot. When you take a step back, so my left toes, if you can see them, are turned slightly out to the left side. Not all the way out to the left side. They're just at about a 45-degree angle from the front of the mat or from the side of the mat. Okay, and there's maybe, you know, about 2 foot between my feet. It mightn't look that wide, but there's about 2 foot. Now I'm going to bend my right knee, but I don't want it to come to, I don't want it coming past my toes. I just want to bend it so that I can lower my hips down a little bit. I'm staying in a neutral spine, so I'm not rounding or anything through my back. I'm staying really nice and upright on top of my hips. And then I'm going to lift the arms up alongside the ear, and this is warrior one position. So you can keep lifting and really think about lifting your arms through your little fingers. Your right knee is moving forwards, but again, never past your toes. So if you're way over here, you need to step the back leg back a little bit or the front foot forward a little bit. So maybe you just have more space between the hips, in which case you just move your feet further apart. We don't want the knee going too far past the ankle or the toes. Reaching up, this is warrior one, so strong warrior pose. The right knee is bent and the knee is directly over the ankle pretty much, and it's nice and strong. The belly is drawing back away from it. The left leg is strong, really nicely pressing that whole left foot into the floor. If there's any torquing feeling or a discomfort in your left knee, move your left foot more to the left or move it more towards the front of the mat, or both. So just troubleshooting there a little bit. Okay, take your hands onto your hips now. And a couple of times we're just going to straighten the right leg and then re-bend. And you can deepen that bend. Straighten the right leg as you inhale. Exhale to bend the right knee. Last time now, straighten the right leg as you inhale. Exhale to bend that right knee. We're going to interlace the hands behind the back now and let the hands come into the back of your pelvis or the back of your waist. And just with the shoulder blades now, we're going to start to squeeze them towards each other. So just releasing tension in the shoulders and the neck. We're going to squeeze the shoulder blades together a couple of times. Relaxing the chest, relaxing the belly as you go, squeezing the shoulder blades together if you want to. So if you've very flexible shoulders, I don't know how mine are today, but we'll see. You might like to squeeze your shoulder blades together and then see if your arms will straighten. Now, if you feel a pressure through the front of your shoulder that isn't pleasant, don't try and straighten your arms, just keep the elbows bent. If you do straighten your arms and it feels like a nice stretch for your chest, then hold them straight. If you would like to, and you're going to be very careful here, you can start to fold at the hip, the two hips, and come forward. And again, you want to keep that spine nice and flat, especially you, Dee, but anybody else can round in as you come forward. So you can round over that right leg, keeping the shoulders squeezing together and the arms lifting. Dee, you're only going to come as far as you can keep your spine flat. Okay, and then release the arms, inhale them up, it should feel quite nice, inhaling them up towards the ceiling, and then exhale, slowly take the hands into the chest, and then lean forward and step the left foot forward, turn the right toes in a little bit until you're just in your standing Tadasana. A couple of times we're just going to lift up and reach the arms. And again, if you want to lift off the heels, you can, otherwise just the arms. So inhaling to lift either just the arms or the heels and the hands up, and exhaling to slowly begin to come down. Relaxing into your shoulders, but making the movement come from deep within the shoulder joint. Inhale the arms up and exhale, slowly coming down. And last time, inhale the arms up. And then exhale slowly, that was a bit rushed, coming down. Separate your feet if they're not already separate. So the left one is on the left side of the mat, the right one is on the right side of the mat. Bend your knees a little bit and then step your right foot back. Let the toes will naturally turn out, let them, and then turn back to the front of the mat, bend your left knee and move the knee forward until it's at least over its own heel. It could be a little bit forward than that if you like, but don't let it come way past your toes. If it does, then you need to step that back foot back a bit. But again, you want to check that that right leg is comfortable, so the right knee isn't feeling like it's being twisted. It should feel like the whole leg is working as a unit. And a little squeeze of the buttock muscles here on the right leg to help turn the right hip forward. Inhale the arms up now, and you're in warrior one. So this is strong standing warrior pose. The belly is drawing back, the chest is lifting. We lift up through the little fingers. Take 2 more breaths here for absolutely no other movement, just your own round of breathing. You can soften your neck and your face, but really working the shoulders quite strongly. So you start to feel quite warm in your upper arms and shoulders. Now, when you're ready, circle the arms around behind you. Interlace the palms here and bring the knuckles into the low back. And you can squeeze the shoulder blades together. A few times we're also going to straighten the leg and re-bend the knee. So you can do those 2 things now, if you like, at the same time. We did them separately on the last round, and you're welcome to do them separately on this round. But a couple of times now you can squeeze the shoulder blades together and bend the knee, or squeeze the shoulder blades together and straighten the leg, and then release the shoulder blades and bend the knee. So just finding a little rhythm, doesn't matter what way you've chosen to do it, just releasing and squeezing, releasing and squeezing. The next time you bend the knee, hold it there, squeeze the shoulder blades together, either stay here, the chest lifting, or maybe you would like to straighten the arms. And again, if you didn't overdo it last time, you might feel that nice cumulative stretching, so the chest can really feel buoyant, like again, there's balloons there. And then just leaning a little bit forward. Keep your right leg nice and strong. So push into that right leg and just lean a little bit forward. Keep your neck and shoulders relaxed while squeezing the shoulder blades together. And again, if you want to, out of the hips, you can lean forward. You can even, if you want to, round forward. And again, D, you're not going to round, obviously. So you're going to stay wherever you can stay with a flat back, wherever that happens to be. Okay, and then everyone release the arms, come all the way up if you haven't already. Reach the arms up into your warrior one position. The left knee is forward, and then sweep the arms around as you take the right leg forward in 1 or 2 steps. And we'll come back to the front of the mat. Inhale the arms up and exhale, slowly take the arms all the way back and down. Okay, so last 2 standing poses, as in 2 each side. We're going to take the feet all the way together at the front of the mat. And then we're going to turn to your right. So you're going to turn to your right. And as you turn, you're going to step the feet wide. So the feet are about, I would say, you know, up to one of your own legs length apart, or certainly 3 foot. So we want at least 3 foot between the feet. And the toes are both facing forward. So the feet are parallel to each other. The hands come onto the hips. The kneecaps are lift. So really feel that the feet push down, but the kneecaps lift. So your quadricep muscles, your quads are turned on. And a couple of times, again, keeping your chest lifted and open, we're just going to fold and unfold. So it's not, we don't have to go too far forward, but we want to come forward with a flat back. As you come upright, you're using your buttock muscles to take you up. So they're lengthening, they're going into a lengthening contraction to let you go down, but they're in a shortening contraction, though they're squeezing together to come all the way back up. So you're just moving at the hips in this little mild hip stretch. Or maybe your legs are very wide apart and it's a massive stretch for you. And if that feels great, that's fine. But again, only go to where it actually feels great. So you don't want any of this to be just not comfortable. So you don't want any pain. Definitely no pain whatsoever, not even really discomfort. It should all feel quite nice. If it's that nice stretching feeling, then it is cumulative, so it'll keep going. If it's pain, it means the body is reacting against the stretch, which doesn't really actually get us anywhere. Okay, so when you're ready, next time, come all the way back up, stay up. Turn your left heel out. So turn your left heel towards the front of your mat. Turn your right toes all the way in the opposite direction. So your right toes are facing forward and your left toes are facing in a little bit. So you're in one straight line with your feet. The heel of the right foot is in line with the arch of the left foot. Left toes in, right toes all the way out. And then we're going to bend the right knee. But this time, instead of the chest facing the right knee direction, it's going to face the long side of your mat. It's going to face the opposite, well, not quite the opposite direction to the knee, but it's going to turn left. The knee is going forward. Okay, and again, we're just going to bend and straighten a little bit into that front knee. So we're staying perfectly upright, like your head was hanging off a string from the ceiling. The spine is nice and upright, just bending and straightening that right leg a couple of times. If you come past the ankle, that's fine, as long as it's fine for your knee. And again, it just is a particularly individual thing, whether or not that feels good for your knee. You can stop bending at any point. So you can stop that bend right over the ankle, or you can come into a more of a lunge if you like, just whatever feels good. Okay, bend your knee until it's just over the ankle or maybe slightly forward, and then lift your arms up to shoulder height. Look over the fingers of your right hand. So this is warrior 2. So we've gone from warrior 1 to a wide leg forward bend to warrior 2. And we're holding this now just for maybe 2 or 3 more breaths. Warrior 2. The right knee keeps pushing forward, but only as in it doesn't actually move any further forward if it's already over its own ankle. the left leg stays nice and strong. And then we're going to just straighten the right leg, hands onto the hips, turn the right toes back, the left toes out a little bit so they're parallel to each other again. And then we'll go straight to the other side. So the left toes turn all the way forward and the right toes turn in a little bit. So all the way out with the left toes, all the way, or a little bit in with the right toes. And again, we're just going to bend and straighten that left leg. You can have your hands on your hips. You could have your hands into prayer position if you like. You could reach your arms up if you want to. And again, that'll make your shoulders a little bit tired, but it'll bring a bit of strength into the shoulders if that's what you're working on. Hands anywhere you like now, just bending and straightening a couple of more times into that left knee. And then the next time you bend it, hold it there. The knee is in line. So if the knee was to continue going, it would track it towards your second and third toes rather than collapsing inside of your big toe. I hope that makes sense. So the knee is staying forwards, then the arms come up at shoulder height, and we just turn the head to look over across those left fingers. This is warrior two, left side. Again, your chest is nice and buoyant. Your chest is lifting up, the belly draws back slightly, the pelvic floor lifts up a little bit. So we find that tone, nice strong pose, really toning for the breath, the hips, the legs, the ankles, the knees, and the spine, of course. Okay, when you're ready, straighten the left leg, hands onto the hips, turn your left toes in so your feet are parallel now. And then the very final thing, heels in. So turn your heels in so you're making your stance a little bit more narrow, the toes out, and we're just going to go down and up a couple of times. Just bring your hands into your chest. So you can bring your palms together, or hold on to one fist with the opposite hand, and just a little bit down and up. So we're squatting really, taking as deep a squat as your hips allow, very tight hips, which I may have mentioned. So I'm not going to come too low. You can come as low as you can easily come back up. As you bring the knees wide, you get this lengthening contraction in the inner thighs because the muscles there are lengthening, but they're also contracting to bring you back together. So as I bring the legs straight again. So lots of muscle work going on in the legs here. Don't force it. Okay, and then whenever you're ready, we're going to come back to lying down, or back to sitting down. So you're going to come down onto the knees, and then we're going to sit back onto the heels. And when you're ready, we're just going to come to lying down. If you liked that position from earlier, you could take that roll for underneath the low edge of your shoulder blades again. So you're very welcome to do that. Otherwise, you can just lie completely down. So that roll underneath your shoulder blades is just to give that lift and openness in the chest. The arms come behind the roll, so the roll is lower than your armpits, just across the low edge of your shoulder blades. And again, you can either reach the legs long here, or you can bend the knees and let the knees flop out to the sides onto cushions. And we're literally just going to take another 2 or 3 minutes just resting here, if you want to, of course, on this rainy day. You can take longer. If you're doing this before bed, you might take obviously a whole night longer, but you're releasing everything, relaxing everything you were just tensing. So you were working a lot into the hips today, into the spine, relaxing your belly and your shoulders and neck. So you could take your nose from side to side a little bit here if you wanted to, relaxing your throat, relaxing your eyes, and relaxing your face. Taking just a few more breaths here. Nice big deep breath into the lungs. And 3 times we're going to let the breath out through the mouth. So big deep breath in through the nose. Exhale. And a second big deep inhale through the nose. And exhale. And a third big deep inhale through the nose. Exhale. And now letting your breath come purely in and out through the nostrils, softening the jaw, softening your belly. Check in with your head and shoulders and neck to make sure that there's no tension that you're picking up there. If it's not comfortable to have that roll underneath your shoulders, then immediately take it out. Don't put up with anything that isn't giving you complete rest and comfort. Can you relax your belly so much that you can really feel your breath there now? Relaxing your inner thighs. So again, strengthening and stretching in equal measure the muscles there today. Relaxing your hips and your knees and your ankles and your feet. Worked into the calf muscles with our heel raises, coming up onto the tippy toes, working into the balance. Bringing it all together now as we fully relax in our Shavasana. We'll just take 2 or 3 more breaths. And again, obviously, if you can stay longer, absolutely do stay longer. Whenever you're ready now, just get to a comfortable seat. So either pushing yourself, rolling yourself to the side if you're up on something. So if you're propped underneath your back, definitely a better idea to roll to your side rather than just coming straight up, because you don't have the same part of the back as you normally would on the floor. So rolling to your side and then coming to sitting, finding your nice upright spine, taking the hands together. We'll take our last breath of this practice together. So inhaling through the nose and exhaling. Namaste.